Yes, guys, how is everyone doing? I do apologise for being late. Anyone that knows me knows that I am the latest man on the planet, but I am here to answer your Game Week 3 questions. I can see a lot of familiar faces already in the chat. Cheekster Animations, hope you're doing well. Madrid Fan, Zombie Dob, Ramps, hope you guys are doing well. So, look, let's get to the chase right now. There are so many content creators live on YouTube right now. It's ridiculous. It is outrageous. So, this is what we're going to do. If you need your question answered, I'm going to be here for the next 50 minutes answering all your questions. So if you want a quieter stream and you want someone to chat about your questions in a bit more detail, this might be the place for you, because I do think that all the others are going to be a little bit rammed, is probably what is worth saying. So this is your opportunity to go really in depth for your questions, and I can try and help them out. I'm going to answer all of them up until 5:30. Now, once again, if you can drop a like on the stream, it'd be massively appreciated. We're aiming for, now I'm going to say like 9k before game week 4. That might be outrageous thinking, but if we can hit it, that'll be absolutely sick. So of course, if you're not following the channel already and you see some value in this, it'd be great to have you as a subscriber going forward. In this, I'm going to answer your questions and I'm going to reveal my game week 3 team, as I have made a transfer already. And yes, I have kept Gabriel, but we'll get into that. So let's go straight into the chat right now, as I'm conscious I'm getting into your time. So Charlie, I'm thinking Rashford out, Foden in, and Jackson for Pedro. Okay, so for me, I'm not too bullish on it. Yes, the players that you're bringing in are fantastic players in Foden and Jackson, but Rashford at home, what a great fixture he does have. And obviously Pedro, we're expecting, is going to start with the injury to Enciso. So I don't mind the players you're bringing in, but I equally don't like the players that you're taking out of that team. Madrid fans saying keep Rashford for this game week. Yes, that's what I agree with. I took Rashford out and kept Bruno. Yes, if I was going to sell one right now, it probably would be Rashford and keeping Bruno, as I do think he's looking the better option as we speak, until that Højlund comes into the team and Rashford moves out onto the left. Alvarez, Foden, Gusto, or Alvarez, Sterling and Udogie. So you're really going double down on that Man City attack of Alvarez and Foden, which I really do like. Difficult one to answer. I probably would favour the second one in Alvarez, Sterling and Udogie. I think you spread yourself quite nicely there. People asking where I was. I am here now. Do not worry. Best 4.5 million goalkeeper for Pickford. I'd keep Pickford. I know he is woeful. I know Everton are woeful. But I personally wouldn't do a goalkeeper transfer to do Pickford to a 4.5. The only way I'd recommend selling Pickford is if you were to then do Pickford to an Edison and you were going to an elite goalkeeper, elite defence. This needs to go on right now. So that is kind of what my thoughts are there. Edison would be the one to sell Pickford. Otherwise, I would not touch him at all. I think I'm going to get Diaz in for Gabriel and Jackson in for Watkins. Yes, I absolutely like that move. I'm in that exact same situation. Spoiler alert, I've done one of those transfers. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. I haven't done both, but I will have a little bit of logic in regards to that. Animations, Foden in for Fernandes is my only dilemma now, but may hold and go with 2 free transfers next week. Yeah, so look, Foden absolutely could go off against the Sheffield United team, and I feel like you might want him in game week 4 regardless, but I just can't really see myself selling Bruno Fernandes with this great home fixture personally. I think he's still been decent, so for me, I just can't really justify selling him, but I understand if you want to go down that route. Again, guys, those who are moderators in the chat, thank you so much for obviously nominating yourselves. For anyone that does want to be a moderator in the chat, please do let me know, and we'll get to a good amount of moderators where if some are away, we at least have some on standby that can help out, which would be sick. We had a bit of spam last time, and I see you guys are already on it in the chat. Emil saying Akanji or Saliba for the start. I can't tell you guarantee that Akanji is going to start, so I probably would say Saliba right now. Hey, bro, I have Mitoma, Mbeumo, Rashford, Martinelli, and Saka in my midfield. But I also have Alvarez in the bench. What should I do? Realistically, you got to start all of those midfielders this game week. My question to you is, who's the other forward that you're benching, that you're starting ahead of Alvarez? Madrid fan, I am doing well. Chilwell captain, I just couldn't go against Haaland. His effective ownership is going to be outrageous this game week. I just think if you go against him, the player you're bringing in really has to do well. And Chelsea haven't kept a clean sheet in God knows how long. I think it's 14 games or something. So you're really asking for, I know it's Luton. I know Luton probably won't score, but I'm not super confident on a Chelsea clean sheet. They always find a way to concede. Saka is still the penalty taker for Arsenal. We don't know right now, unfortunately. The problem with it right now is Odegaard took it. we got to go off that kind of information that we have. Hopefully a few game weeks later down the line, we can get to that sort of stage where we have clear evidence on who the penalty taker is. Right now, it's not enough info for me to say, I have to get Odegaard now. I want to see another penalty taken. And make sure all the other content creators are getting too many questions. Your voice is soothing and you can answer your question later. No worries at all, mate. What do you think about Chilwell captain? I've covered that one. Shall I start Maddison or Udogie? Okay, so I think Maddison either starts or he doesn't play at all. So on that kind of premise, I would be inclined to start Maddison. Hope he does start, because realistically, I can't see him coming off the bench. I think he's either fit enough to start or he's not fit enough to play at all. And then bench Udogie as your first sub. If you don't want to go down that route and you're kind of thinking to yourself, I don't want to take that risk, simply go for Udogie. He's absolutely fine pick. Should I replace Eze and give him one more chance? Realistically, I think you give Eze one more chance. He's the talisman of that Crystal Palace team. If Crystal Palace is going to do well, he is going to do well. So I don't think it's a desperate sell at all. Jackson or Watkins, I think it's a good opportunity for me to come over to my team going into this game week, as I really do think it is probably what a lot of people are asking right now. What's my transfers? Who would I rather go for? So let's go in to my team going into game week 3. Okay, so here is how we are looking going into game week 3. And I do apologise if my voice sounds weird. I've had a bad throat for the last 24 hours, so it's getting a little bit ropey, but we still go. So this is how the team is looking. Now, I have made one free transfer and I have done Watkins to Jackson. Now, it's worth noting, I don't actually like the transfer that much of Watkins to Jackson. Jackson really hasn't proven himself in the Premier League or a Chelsea shirt. I know it's only been 2 games, but historically, we don't know if he's actually a goal scorer or not. He's a fantastic link-up player in this Chelsea team. I think he is going to do well. Is he actually a goal scorer is my big question. However, I'm a manager that wants to play the fixtures that's in front of me. And with the upcoming fixtures, for Chelsea being at home against Luton and at home against Nottingham Forest, they just seem too good to ignore. Now, I know you're probably sat there thinking, but Chelsea have struggled against basically every team that put up a low block. And I do absolutely agree with that kind of verdict. But sometimes with teams like Luton, we just don't know whether they are going to be Derby 2.0. And if Chelsea are going to run riot against them, because I think they have been good against both Liverpool and West Ham, I actually don't think they've been terrible at all. We could see a game here where it could be 4-5. Now, I'm not saying it is going to be, but it has the potential to be. Whereas Burnley, for me, who have Aston Villa this game week, have had 2 weeks to prepare for Aston Villa. This Aston Villa team has played midweek in Europa League. Yes, I know it was an easy game, but Burnley have literally had 2 weeks, and we all know that Vincent Kompany is an absolute psycho. He is one of those, if anyone's seen the interviews, he is football obsessed. He literally sleeps like 3 or 4 hours a day, and he is all about football. He is going to have that team absolutely drilled to get the best and try and beat Aston Villa. Now, of course, all managers do that. All teams try and do it. But when they've had 2 weeks to prepare, I think that's a big difference. And I think Burnley could get something against Aston Villa. Then Aston Villa, after that fixture, are away against Liverpool. Then they have Crystal Palace, who are not an easy team to beat defensively. Then they have Chelsea. Then they have Brighton. So I do think Watkins could do really well over that period. But as I said, it's the potential that this game week does offer at home against Luton, followed by Nottingham Forest, followed by Bournemouth, then Villa, then Fulham. Long term, these fixtures are great, and I just don't want to miss out on that potential haul for Jackson. Now, you're probably sat there thinking, yeah, Jackson, I don't think he's going to cut it, but I just want to be in that situation where I could get those returns. So that's why I've pulled the trigger. I think Watkins can do well, of course, but for me, I just want to get in and amongst it with Jackson this week. I'm just going to put a little poll in here. Have you bought Jackson? Sorry guys, I'm just putting a little poll, just to get an idea on kind of the general consensus. But like I said, I honestly don't think Burnley is going to be an easy game. I think Burnley is going to be a very tricky game for Aston Villa. So please just put a vote on that poll that I put in. Have you bought Nicholas Jackson going into game week 3? I think there is going to be a lot of people moving towards him. Look, rest of the team. We have about an hour 45 until the deadline. I have been incredibly bullish on the thought of starting Gabriel, and I still am. However, I have seen a lot of kind of discussions online about potential Arsenal team leaks. Now, an account that I do follow, who are fantastic, is Jump the Wave. And they basically, it's Emma Jump the Wave on Twitter for those that want to know. And what they do is they kind of accumulate loads and loads of different predictions from kind of fellow fans of teams, and they come to a verdict on the percentage, the chance of a player starting. So I'm just getting the Arsenal one up right now. Okay, so just to give you an idea, they have predicted that White is 100% chance of starting, Saliba 100% chance. They've gone for Gabriel at 87% and Zinchenko at 82%. They said Kiwor, whatever his name is, at 7%. And they've said Partey at 38%, with Rice at 100, Odegaard at 100, Havertz at 87, Saka at 100, Martinelli 100, and Nketiah at 84. So, look, this isn't the sort of one where I necessarily take it with a pinch of salt. This is a lot of people who are fans of the teams have gone for 87% of Gabriel. Now, the reason why I'm not considering selling Gabriel is just because I am not that desperate to bring in another defender. I don't even know if I necessarily want Rico Henry long term. And using a free transfer to bring him in just doesn't really sit well with me. Whereas I could have Gabriel play against Fulham, an attacking threat, great home fixture. And if he does play, I do expect a clean sheet. Now, I am happy for a situation where he comes on in the last 10 minutes to replace Zinchenko and I get a 1-pointer. That is just the kind of situation that I am happy to go with. But if he does start, I've saved a free transfer. I go into game week 4 with Man United playing against Arsenal and flexibility to go for my team. I could make it easy myself, play your Doji, be done with it, bench Gabriel, but I'm happy to go down this route. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to make sure this live stream is about answering your questions, so I'm just going to leave my team up on screen here. You can slag me off in the comments if you want about the Gabriel situation, because it is a little bit dubious. Right, let's get some more. So anybody that's asking Watkins to Jackson, I'm kind of just going to answer this as like a blank answer. I have done it, if that answers your question straight away. Do I think Watkins is a bad pick? Absolutely not. I think he's a great pick. But with the Europa League involved, with Burnley, who have had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, I think it's going to be a tricky game for Aston Villa. And the reason why I like Jackson is because home against Luton, home against Forest, I think there is a chance for a haul over that period. And I want to bring in players that have that high ceiling potential. And I feel like he could be one of those. That is the main reason why I'm doing it. No real other reason to it. Get rid of Pickford for a 4.5 million goalkeeper or get rid of Watkins for Jackson. I personally rather do Watkins to Jackson rather than sell Pickford. A Stupinan out, Ruben Diaz in. No, I would not do that myself. What time are you making your transfers? I've already made my transfer. I've done Watkins to Nicholas Jackson. Would you start Henry or Saliba? I feel like both will concede. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a difficult one because I think Henry has more of a potential for attacking returns against Crystal Palace, whereas I fancy Arsenal more for a clean sheet. Probably would just back the Arsenal defence in Saliba there. Looks like Trent will be available. It doesn't look like Klopp has ruled him out, so I think he will be available for this game week. If you own him, you start him. Is it too late to bring in Nicholas Jackson, even with the price rise? Absolutely not. I let his price rise to get a bit more information from today's press conferences. I'm happy with that route. Henry or Gabriel, I probably would start in that situation. I'm obviously going to say Gabriel because I'm starting him myself, but I think realistically, if you want to be safe, you go for Henry in that situation. Shall I play Maddison? As in the press conference, Ange said he's available for Bournemouth, but we will monitor him in training. Yes, so I think personally, Maddison either starts or he gets 0 minutes. So I'd be happy to start him personally if I owned him. Should I start Colwell or João Pedro? I would chase the upside and go for João Pedro personally. Who would I start? Eze, Henry or Rashford? Rashford for me. I know he's been poor. I know Man United have been poor, but Rashford for me, you cannot be benching at home in any fixture. Triple captain Haaland. It looks like we're not going to get huge double game weeks this season, but Man City will be one that do because of obviously the Super Cup that incurs a blank game week in, believe, game week 18. So there will be an opportunity to double captain Haaland, I do believe, later down the line. But they don't come much better than Sheffield United. But I'd probably rather, on the flip side, triple captain Haaland at home against Sheffield United later on in the year. Pele, Fox, Gavardia or Gabriel to start. Look, again, I think a lot of people are bullish on Gabriel. Others are very, very, very against it. depends what camp you sit in. I am being very optimistic and maybe a little bit naive thinking that Gabriel is going to start. So I probably would say to you Gabriel, but realistically, Gavardiol probably has an even higher chance of a clean sheet and maybe even guaranteed minutes. So for you, I probably would say Gavardiol. Joel, 2 free transfers, 2 million in the bank. Should I do Gabriel and Shaw to Henry and Udogie, or Shaw to either Udogie or Henry? I'm just trying to work that one out there. So, and Udogie or Shaw to either Udogie or Henry. So realistically, both defenders are a problem, but Shaw, is definitely a problem. So I would focus on selling Luke Shaw first and foremost. Make sure that's done. I would prefer you to go for a Man City defender first and foremost. But if you're obviously trying to free up funds, then I do like you going for Henry as an alternative, or even a Botman later down the line. Newcastle have good fixtures, and then upgrading your 4.5 million to Jackson. Yes, I do like that. But realistically, Pedro is a good start as well. Yeah, so I would go personally Shaw to Henry, and then I'll do the move to Jackson. Who should I start, Gusto or Pedro Porro? I probably would go for Gusto. Walker, good option. He's captain of the team. I expect him to have decent game time this season, yes. Am I an idiot for starting Madison, Mr. Handsome saying? Personally, I think he either starts or he gets 0 minutes. So I think it's fine to start him. But again, if you have that little bit of worry, then it might just be worth benching him. Or selling him, of course, whatever you prefer. Sorry, I was just trying to make sure I keep up with all the chat. For those that know, there's a poll in the chat right now. Have you bought Nicholas Jackson? 53% are saying yes. 40%, 47% are saying no, just so people do know what direction they're going in. I put Udogie over Gabriel. Think he will get a clean sheet and a good chance of an assist. Yeah, I absolutely don't mind that at all. It is absolutely a valid move to do. I just, for one, I don't know why, I just feel like Gabriel's going to start, but I get it. It is really, really, yeah, I think it's a little bit risky playing Gabriel, but I'm happy to take that punt. So I'm just making sure I'm not missing any news on here. No. Keep a Nana, absolutely keep a Nana. No problems there whatsoever. And Buemo in for Matoma using my second free transfer. Absolutely not. Keep Matoma this game week, 100%. Disasi or Gabriel to start? I think both are risks of minutes. I'd probably just go Gabriel, to be honest with you. Will a Kanji play? I'd expect so, but again, it is Pep Roulette. Jackson or Watkins? I have bought Jackson, if that helps your answer there. Hi, mate. Would you start Udogie or Gusto? Of those two, I probably would go for... I think Udogie's got guaranteed minutes. I think Gusto could get rotated with Disasi. I probably would just go for Udogie, knowing that he is guaranteed going to start. Martinelli, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Matoma, Foden, Watkins, Haaland, João Pedro. Which one to bench? If I had to bench one of those, it probably would have to be João Pedro, but I would hate it. But you've got some sort of coverage in Matoma. Who should I play out of these? Udogie, Estupinan, or Gusto? How many of them do you need to play? But the answer is Estupinan, 100%. Bailey versus Diaby. I think Bailey is a good option to have more flexibility. Yes, but I also do think Bailey's probably more rotation risk in that team. Take out Shaw and Gabriel. I've covered that one. Yes, this is my final team, but it is worth noting I could get tempted to bench Gabriel if somebody puts a really good argument to not play him. So yeah, but this is currently what my team is looking like. Is Watkins a bad choice, Charlie? Absolutely not. One of the best choices around. He's kind of like, as we discussed, a mini Harry Kane. He's going to play every single minute of every game pretty much, unless Villa are like 4-0 up like we saw last week. He is really directly involved in most Aston Villa goals, and Villa are such a good team. Not a bad pick at all. I'm just trying to chase these hauls with the Luton at home game. But come Friday night, I could be crying at the end of the night, of course, going for Nicholas Jackson. But I'm happy to take the punt. James Simpson saying, I have 3 forwards that consist of Visser, Haaland and Alvarez. Should I still sell Salah and try to improve my team? So Visser, Haaland and Alvarez this game would look fantastic. I would absolutely keep them. I don't think Salah is a desperate hold. My question to you is, if you're selling Salah, where are you going? And if the money in the bank is available, well, who is that going to invest in the rest of your team? I'd only sell Salah if the other transfer is going to really benefit your team with the funds that will be available to you. Should I start Gabriel or Cash? Of those two, again, it is one of those sort of situations. Should I start Gabriel Cash? Very difficult one because, as I said, I think Cash is even at risk of rotation with someone like a Concert playing at right back. And I'm probably not the best person to ask because I'm bullish on Gabriel starting when I don't really have any sort of reason to be. So I'm probably going to say Gabriel. But again, if you're worried about minutes, just go for Cash. Hi mate, who would you start, Udogie or Gusto? I probably would go for Udogie, as I've discussed. No news on Udogie or Gusto. Sorry, no news on Gusto right now. It is worth noting. Again, Moz, thank you very much for... Well, like I said, guys, if you're spamming the chat, they will get kind of like blocked by the mods. That's what they're there for, just to make sure the chat's running smoothly, because otherwise it's like 10, 15 of the same question, and it kind of just blocks out everybody else's questions. So drop one in. If I haven't answered it, just put, hey, I haven't answered my question, and put another one in there. And that's probably the best way to go about it. Animations are saying, Watkins to get a haul after I sell him is in the back of my mind. Absolutely. It can 100% happen. It's Watkins at the end of the day. He's such a great pick. But again, we have to remember we're chasing those hauls in Nicholas Jackson. NDM Gaming saying, will Maddison start Hurdy's in training? Sounds like he is touch and go. As I said, I think he either starts or he gets 0 minutes. So I feel like you might be okay to start him. And again, guys, I'm going to be running this live stream up until 5:30, and then I'm going to be taking it over on TikTok for the last hour. So it's worth noting, we are likely to get some early Chelsea news before the deadline. So if you're looking to buy Gusto, you're looking to buy Nicholas Jackson, you're a little bit worried about their game time, maybe wait close to the deadline when we might get some Chelsea news, and then we can go down the decision making then with your transfers. Enzo Fernandez, yes, I do like him as a pick. Would I rush to bring him in? No, I don't think it's a desperate transfer at all, especially if we don't know if he's on penalties now. João Pedro or Jackson? Jackson would be the answer for me. Start Pedro or Gabriel. Probably would go for Pedro now that the Enciso injury has been confirmed. Is Odegaard the guaranteed penalty taker? I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to be a little bit flexible. If we see another penalty and he takes it again, then we do have a bit more concrete evidence on who the penalty taker is. But I wouldn't have enough information right now to say to you, Odegaard is definitely the penalty taker. And again, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, please do consider hitting that like. We what is it? We always aim for 50 likes. Last time we got 100, which was ridiculous. Honestly, it was mad to hit 100. But if we get to 50 likes, I see we have about 150 of us in the chat. It'll be awesome. It's totally free, and it'd be great if you could do that. Thank you so much. I see we have a super chat as well from Tiltsy. Thank you so much for that one. Asking Saliba or Ruben Diaz. Now, if it was an actual transfer, I personally would lean towards Ruben Diaz. I know he's a little bit more expensive, but the fixtures coming up for Man City are fantastic. They got Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham, Forest, Wolves, and then they come to Arsenal. Whereas Arsenal, on the other hand, is Fulham, Man United, Everton, Spurs, Bournemouth, City. For me, I think if you're going to invest new, you go for the Man City player, and I think Ruben Diaz is the safer pick of the bunch. So, mate, hopefully that answered your question. Ruben Diaz would be my answer. And you legends have got the stream to 60 like that. Absolute legends. Thank you so much for that. Isak bags one against Liverpool. Honestly, what a baller Isak is. And it's worth noting, I haven't actually got a slide up for fixture, so I do apologise. But let me see if I can get one up a minute. What we got here? Here we go. Here we go, people. Here we go. Just give me a second, because we all know I am not very good at... Hopefully this is ideal. So, hopefully you can see it on your screens here. These are the fixtures, basically between game weeks 3 and game weeks 8. This is taken from Fantasy Football Fixes ticker. Now, I want to draw your eyes to Newcastle in the middle. Liverpool, Brighton, Brentford, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham. They're about mid-pack between game weeks 3 and game weeks 8. However, if we were to adjust the ticker, get rid of this week, because no one's going to be buying Newcastle realistically, and we do it to game week 5, and then we do long-term to game week 10, Newcastle jump straight up. Brentford, Sheffield, Burnley, West Ham, Palace, Wolves. Game week 5 onwards is going to be Newcastle territory. I think a lot of people are going to be invested in Newcastle assets. So make sure you do have that bookmarked in the back of your mind, that later down the line, Newcastle are going to be players that you absolutely want to buy. Botman at 4.5, Trippier at 6.5, Isak later down the line. These are guys that we absolutely want in our teams. I'll just put my team back up on screen for anyone that is coming to the chat right now. Arsenal for Prem saying, hi mate, who would you start between Foden, Matoma or Diaby? Honestly, mate, how good's your team that you have to bench them? I would try and start all of them. If I had to bench one, it probably would be Diaby though. If I can't captain Haaland, which why can't you is the question, who should I captain? Bruno, Rashford, Jackson, Saka or Chilwell? Of the bunch, I probably would lean towards Saka. I'm just a Saka fan. I think Saka's the one there, honestly. I get it. You might want to chase the huge upside of Ben Chilwell, but realistically, Saka is the one I would go for. They're all good picks, though. What striker should I buy? Any budget apart from Haaland? I think naturally the community are moving towards Nicholas Jackson. That is obviously going to be the obvious answer. Beyond that, I think Visser at Brentford's a good pickup, but you need to remember that he is going off around the 75th minute, which is a bit of a problem. And also, Watkins is just an absolutely fine long-term hold. Don't be scared to hold him long-term. Seth saying, what's the difference between Gvardiol and Diaz? So I think Diaz just plays as that central centre-back that not many of the other players can do so. I think with Gvardiol playing basically on the left-hand side, Nathan Ake is a big Pep fan. Like, Pep absolutely loves Ake. So I think it could be rotation from time to time. And I just think Ruben Diaz has fewer players in that team that can take his position. Whereas I think Ake is literally identical to Gvardiol. I just think Gvardiol is better on the ball and has probably better build-up play from the back. Solly March and Matoma, I still would lean towards Matoma, even though Solly March has been great. Who should I do? Watkins and Sterling or Diaby and Jackson? I'm using my wild card. If I had to pick one of the two, I actually would probably go. I'll be tempted to go probably Diaby and Jackson. Just. Should I trade Isak? Kind of want to wait till Jesus, but no, I think honestly, like we said, I think Newcastle are a top team, and I think Isak is a top player. Don't feel inclined to have to sell him. Honestly, if you don't want to go Jackson, don't go there. I think Isak is an amazing differential if you want to keep on to him. Mateus is saying Foden or Sterling, mate. Foden for me. Foden all day. Is Gabriel starting? I don't have any information on that one. I'm taking the punt that he will. I'll be checking, as I said, the account Jump the Wave, which is Emma over on Twitter. Really good account, which basically takes loads of fans' probability of a player starting and accumulates it all together. And they have basically come up with, there's an 87% chance of Gabriel starting. Ruben, should I take Pickford out for potentially Vicario? No, I'll just keep Pickford 100%. Ollie, start your Doji or Colwell, already starting Chilwell. If that's the case, I think your Doji just offers a little bit more. Bonus points, attacking potential. I probably would just lean towards your Doji. Arsenal for Prem. Hi, mate. I've been ignored about 30 times. Do apologise if I haven't answered already. But Diaby, Matoma or Foden. Again, mate, it's a little bit difficult to answer that because I don't actually know what the question is. But if it's you have to bench one, I would bench Diaby. If I had to buy one, it would be Foden. So I'm not really sure what the question is there, mate. What do you think the likelihood of Udogie getting a clean sheet? I rate Bournemouth, it is worth noting. And I don't rate Spurs' defence. So I would say quite slim personally, but I think he has a chance of attacking returns. Elliot saying thoughts on Odegaard. I think he could easily emerge as the go-to Arsenal midfielder, but until we actually see a little bit more from Arsenal, hopefully this game week can give us a bit of an idea if, first and foremost, Odegaard is the starting penalty taker in that team, and secondly, whether he is going to actually have an influence in this team in the final third, or whether the introduction of Havertz as another 8 is going to be negatively affecting Odegaard. So hopefully we'll get a bit more information from this game week. It's another reason why I want to roll my second free transfer. I've already done Watkins to Jackson. If I do Gabriel to a Man City defender, let me show you on screen here how we're looking. So let's just get this up for you. You might not be able to see this. Hopefully you can. I apologise if it's a little bit small, but basically I want to show you. That's how my team's looking in this game week. By the way, this is the Fantasy Football Fix Google Chrome extension, okay? Totally free. You just need a Fantasy Football Fix account, which again is totally free to get. And you go on to Google, extensions. It's called FPL Plus. You sync it with the official site. It's a joke. It's so good. So here's how my team's looking. The reason why I don't want to do another free transfer is because when we come into game week 4, hopefully you can see this. I'm just going to reset the draft. Here we go. Cool. Okay, so here's how my team would look in game week 4. Here we go. Now, Gabriel is a problem. He's at home against Man United. I have 2 Man United playing against Arsenal, 2 Arsenal playing against Man United. Otherwise, the team looks great. With one more game week of information, hopefully we get a bit of a conclusion on who the go-to Man City defender is, who the go-to Arsenal midfielders are. And having 2 free transfers in this game week just gives it so much more flexibility. So, for example, Gabriel can move out to be a Man City defender of any choice. Maybe a Kanji is the one to go for. And then we discover that maybe Martinelli is now a massive rotation risk because of the introduction of Gabriel Jesus. Him and Trossard maybe share minutes on the left side. So simply do Martinelli to a Phil Foden. And straight away, we gained a bit more information from one game week. And now the team looks a lot stronger. Because of this game week, this is the one I wanted 2 free transfers for, not the one that we're currently in. So for that reason, it's why I'm not pulling the trigger on Gabriel. And I'm happy to take a bit more of a risk and say, yes, Gabriel might get benched. Yes, I might get another 1-pointer, but I'm happy to take that risk for one more week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, though. Should I keep Maddison? I think he either starts or gets 0 minutes, so I probably would just keep him. But obviously, if you're in a position right now where Foden is calling your name, it's a good opportunity just to get it done. James, thanks, mate. If I go down from Salah, I maybe go down to Odegaard, and then with that money in the bank, I can go up from my 4.5 million midfielder that's injured. Yeah, don't mind that at all. Is Diaz the best City defender? Yes, if you can afford it, I think he is the safest defender to go for. Michael, please, you haven't answered my question yet. What do you think of Son instead of Rashford and upgrade Gabriel for Ruben Diaz? Or do I go for Foden and upgrade João Pedro? Okay, so realistically, I'm not a big fan of Son right now. There will be a time where I think we are going to be interested in Son, but for anyone that's watched Spurs, he just hasn't been in the game as much as we wanted. He's very, very wide, keeping the touchline with Udogie making underlapping runs. I couldn't be tempted by Son at all. Is Viscera a good pick? Dan is saying yes. The only problem with him, early substitutions. He's coming off around the 70th, 75th minute, and that's been a regular thing for him in his Brentford career, so just be cautious of that. But when he plays, he is the number 9 in that team with everything funneling through him, so he is a great pick and an absolute steal at that price bracket. Mr. Oggsy saying, what do you think about Kyle Walker? In my opinion, he might be the safest Man City pick because he has no real competition on his position and he's captain. Yeah, I think the problem with Kyle Walker, he's got such a history of being such a dead FPL asset because he never gets any FPL attacking returns. So just look at Kyle Walker over the years. They're just horrendous. Last season, 0 goals, 0 assists. Season before, 0 goals, 2 assists. Year before that, 1 goal, 1 assist. Then 1 goal, 4 assists, 1 goal, 1 assist, no goals, 1 goal. This is the problem with Kyle Walker is he doesn't really offer much else in the team and he doesn't really have many bonus points potential. And that's why when we come for defenders, especially from Man City, they don't interest me as much as other teams because I know I'm just getting basically 6 points from this defender or 2 points. And that doesn't really excite me, whereas somebody like a Udogie who could get attacker returns, max bonus is way more exciting for me than going for someone like a Man City defender. But I do think Kyle Walker being the captain of the team does just slightly heighten his game time, which is obviously a good thing. Greg is saying keep Rashford or transfer in Foden. I would keep Rashford for one more game week. Enzo Fernandez is going to score points. Fingers crossed. I am a Chelsea fan. Hopefully that does happen. Covered that one. Ram saying, hi mate, if you were to use your wildcard this week, what would your team look like? So realistically, if I was going to use my wildcard this week, I probably would be a little bit boring and go for Edison in goal. I know it's not the favourable pick, but I probably would just go for him knowing that there are probably going to be guaranteed points in this period. And long term, he's just great. 4 million goalkeeper, Chilwell, a Stupinan. I probably would have like a Gavardia or a Ruben Diaz in there, a Henry, a Botman at 4.5 to target those Newcastle fixtures later down the line. The midfield, I'd probably have Bruno. I'd probably have Saka. I'd probably have Mbeumo, maybe a Matoma and Phil Foden, and then Haaland and Jackson to target the coming game weeks. But that's off the top of my head. Play João Pedro or Gusto. As I said, with the injury to Enciso, I think I'd rather double down and go for the João Pedro pick, as I think the upside is there for him. Would you play Watkins if you have him? Absolutely. Gvardiol or Akanji? I probably would lean towards Akanji. He's one of those that we always think to ourselves, there's no guaranteed Man City defender. Then you look at Akanji's minutes and think, he's played so much. So probably Akanji, to be honest with you, but it just doesn't excite me. Henry or Diaz? If you have the money to go Diaz, I would go Diaz, but Henry is a brilliant alternative at a cheaper price. If I have 2 free transfers but only use 1, will I then have 2? Yes. So if you have 2 free transfers right now, you roll 1 of them, you will have 2 the following game week. Sorry guys, I think the stream's just cut out a little bit, so hopefully we're back. I'm just going to take down the poll a minute that I put up. So just to give you guys an update, basically I put a poll out saying, have you bought Jackson? And 50% said yes, 50% said no. So a lot of people are going towards him, and equally some aren't as well. So it hasn't really helped that much. Just making sure there's nothing big that I'm missing in the chat. And again, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do consider doing so. As I mentioned, we're aiming for 9K before game week 4. I know it's a bit of a punt. We're currently on, let's just have a look what we're on. 8630. It's a long way to go, but I believe in us. I believe we can get there. Just checking out what's in the chat here. Is Jackson better than Watkins? As I said, Liam, for me, I just prefer Jackson because I think the upside is really big with him. Would you start João Pedro or Foden? I'm guessing Foden. Foden for me, yes. I just think if you own Foden, you cannot be benching him at all. 5.5 million defender to replace Stones. 5.5 million. I think Ruben Diaz is the obvious pick at that price point. Little Bear, that team's exactly what you went for wildcard. That's good to know. That's a bit of confirmation bias there. Do I start Diaby or March? I probably would go for March myself. I think Burnley away is going to be a tough game, personally. Maybe I'm being a little bit kind of like, because I've sold Watkins, I'm a bit more like, oh, this could be terrible. It's going to be such a hard game. And maybe I've just come up with that narrative in my head. But I think it will be quite tricky. I think the big question for me is like, would I pull the trigger and sell Gabriel to bring in Ruben Diaz? Because at the end of the day with my team, I can simply just bring in Ruben Diaz knowing that he's then there for game week 5 or whatever I said, game week 4. So it isn't the end of the world. Ruben Diaz could just come in, and it has been something I've been deliberating right now in terms of like, if I hold my transfer for next week, my second one, what am I actually doing? Am I just bringing in another Man City defender? And if that's the case, am I going to learn much in one game week to kind of hesitate on doing it? I think that's the big thing for me right now is Gabriel could just be easily Ruben Diaz in the team, and then I have Ruben Diaz for game week 4, and then I worry about using my other transfer to change one of my midfielders, because unless we get some terrible Jackson news, he gets an injury or whatever, I'm going to start Haaland, I'm going to start Jackson in game week 4. I'm going to start Mbeumo. I'm probably going to start 2 Arsenal, 1 United possibly. I'm going to sell 1 to a Foden. So I think that's the big thing for me. I just don't get excited about Man City defenders. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but I just don't get excited by them because it's just basically 6 points or 2. Those that are asking, this is basically my confirmed team. I know I'm taking a risk with Gabriel. I think he does start, but I know it's a huge risk. So that's the kind of the risk I'm willing to take, to be honest with you. Start Martinelli or João Pedro. I would go Martinelli personally. I think both are at risk of minutes rotation in the game. I probably would just favour Martinelli's upside in this great home fixture against Fulham. It will be very interesting though if Arsenal do look a little bit ropey because they haven't looked good at the start of the season. If they have a bad performance, I think some people are going to get very, very trigger happy to sell some of their Arsenal assets early doors. Right, guys, what I'm going to say is this. I've probably got another 10 minutes on this stream because, as I said, there are so many unbelievable content creators out there doing live streams right now that you are not lacking content out there. I just want to run this up until 5:30. I know there are so many out there doing live streams for the last hour. So I'm going to do a quick 10-minute power Q&A, and then I'm going to take this live stream over to TikTok because that's kind of where I always do my last hour of deadline streams. So if you want to follow me over on TikTok, make sure you check it out, FPL Fan. I will be doing the final hour over on there. But look, we got 10 minutes. So let's get through all of the questions in the next 10 minutes. I'm basically going to start from Ben J1's comment where they said bench Akanji or Saliba, and I'm going to fly down from there. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you do drop a like on the stream. We're at 88 right now. If we can hit 100, that would be unbelievable. We hit 100 last time, it'd be sick. And again, if you are desperate for your question or answers, super chats are open if you want to go down that route. But again, I don't really like you guys obviously spending money just for me to answer a question. But if you're desperate for it, that is available to you. But look, let's go down and answer these questions. So bench Akanji or Saliba? I probably would bench Akanji because I know Saliba is going to play this week. Mohammed saying Gabriel Udogie and João Pedro. Who should I bench? If I had to bench one of those, I obviously am very, very bullish on Gabriel starting, but realistically, you probably should bench Gabriel out of that lot. It sounds like João Pedro will start with the Enciso injury. Foden or March? Foden. Start Jota or Udogie? I would start. That's really tricky. I probably would start Udogie. It's a tricky game for Liverpool. Vissa, Maddison, Henry, Eze, Gusto, Estupinan. Start 3 and who first bench? So you're in a tricky spot now because of the Maddison situation. But as I said, I personally think that Maddison starts or gets 0 minutes. So I probably would start him. Estupinan's a no-brainer. Vissa, I think you have to start. I probably would bench of the lot. Probably Gusto. I think you have to start in that situation. Eze, Estupinan, and Vissa. First bench would be Maddison if that is the case. If you have to start these ones. Should I start Udogie or Henry? Thinking Udogie at the moment. Yeah, I like Udogie. I think his clean sheet potential is less, but I think his attack and returns are more. He's more of an exciting pick. If Rashford blanks for game week 3, should I go down to Sterling? Potentially. Give it one more week. Get a bit more information on both Rashford, Man United, and Chelsea, and we can go and make a decision then. Who to bench out? Udogie, Saliba, Chile, Akanji, Estupinan. If I had to bench one, it probably would be Udogie of the lot. I make Chelsea double defence tonight or stick with Rico Henry. If you got Henry, I would stick with him. I wouldn't be selling to a Chelsea defender. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 14 games. Yes, this is my current lock team, but if I make any changes, I will let you know over on TikTok because I will be doing a live at the back end of it. Bench Saliba or Akanji? I would bench personally Akanji. Bench Luis Diaz or Varane? I would bench Varane. I think Luis Diaz's upside is a lot more. Saka or Bruno? Oh, sorry. Who is the best Shaw replacement? I have Gabriel, Estupinan, and Chilwell already. I think then Ruben Diaz, if you can afford it, would probably be the route that I would recommend. Saka or Bruno? Oh, I'm just such a big Saka fan. Probably Saka, but it's very, very close. Henry or Eze to start? I think I would back Eze. Talisman in that team. Opinions on Tonali? Top player, not an FPL option right now. If you had Trent, would you sell him? And if so, would you replace him? So look, I think Trent probably is a sell, but I don't think it's a desperate sell. I don't think Liverpool will keep a clean sheet this game week. Realistically, I probably would sell him for Chilwell if you don't own. Then it would be Ruben Diaz, for example, if you want to get a Man City coverage. Start Disasi or Cash? Ooh, start Disasi or Cash? I think Disasi is a little bit of a risk. I expect them to go back to a back 4. So I probably would say Matty Cash. Next week, do I sell Rashford or Fernandes for Foden? Again, we'll decide that when we get to next week's zombie on that one. Pedro or Vissa to start? Oof. Probably just going to lean towards Vissa, but it's very close. Keep Watkins, sell Matoma, get Mbuemo. I would not sell Matoma this week at all. Eze or Henry? I'm going to favour Eze right now. Walker, yes, I think he is a good pick. Should I sell Gabriel for Botman to get Jackson using 2 free transfers? Or do I sell João Pedro for Alvarez to have 2 free transfers for game week 4. Okay, so I think Gabriel Botman's good, but it's not really necessary this week. It's more of a long-term move for you. But if it means you getting Jackson, then I don't mind it. Or do I just sell João Pedro for Alvarez to have 2 free transfers? Again, if you think Alvarez is going to get guaranteed minutes, then I like the move. But just be a little bit cautious that Alvarez's minutes could get rotated. But if I had to pick one, I probably would go for the first option that you mentioned. But Botman could be Henry, for example. Leo, thank you for the super chat. Opinions on Tonali, love the vibe. Thank you so much for tuning in first and foremost. So, opinions on Tonali, I think he is a fantastic player, but we need to see a lot more from him and Newcastle before we even consider him as an FPL option. Now, it's funny enough, I don't even know what his price point is because he hasn't even been on my radar. So, he is currently priced at 5.5 million. There could be a world that we do consider Tonali, but until we actually see him play guaranteed minutes and be an offensive midfielder, until then, he isn't an option, but one to be on the radar. I think obviously we don't really know what that midfield 3 is going to look like. Once Willock returns, will Willock play off the left? Will he integrate into the 3? It's a pause for now. We wait and see on Tonali, but he could be an option once Newcastle's fixtures do swing. Digne Henry, what a shout that is. Mate, I would probably go Digne, to be honest with you. I think Digne is an unbelievable attacking option. If you have him, I'd go Digne. On so many corners as well. It's massive. Tiltsy, thank you for the super chat, but you haven't actually put a question in there. So if you did, don't send another super chat. Just let me know in the comments and I'll make sure I keep an eye out for it. But if you just sent it generally, thank you so much. Is Akanji locked in because I bought him in? I don't know what you mean by locked in on that one, but I think he's a great pick, but I'm not sure what you mean by locked in. Gabriel or Cash? Again, mate, Harry, it comes down to whether you think Gabriel starts. I think he does, but I have no intel on that whatsoever. That is literally just a gut feeling and something that I'm happy to take the punt on. So realistically, it's a risk going for Gabriel, but I'm happy to take that punt myself. I'm just seeing again, there's some good accounts out there. Okay, so yeah, I just checked out another account who I do kind of like really trust with team, what's it called? Arsenal team kind of predictions. But again, he knows no more than I do, for example, but he is a top Arsenal fan. He's predicted Gabriel to start. And the way I'm viewing it is this. If Gabriel doesn't start, it's a 1 or 2 pointer and it is what it is. Just got to accept it. Udogia could start and he'll get a 2 pointer as well because he might concede. So I'm happy just to take the risk with Gabriel in the situation. And then, knowing I got 2 free transfers the following game week, if Arteta finds a way to bench Gabriel this game week, we just know that he is not in his plans at all. He is a manager that's going to be all about control, and it's just going to be a case of players who are amazing in possession because Gabriel isn't. And if that happens, we know then he is a sell. So I'm happy to take that risk for one more game week. I've decided that in my head now. I'm not going to be convinced to sell him. I'm just going to happily stick him in my team and pray that he starts. Right, guys, I think I'm going to have to wrap it up there. As I said, I want to jump on the TikTok live for 5:30, so I've got 5 minutes. We still have some questions. Richarlison or no? No, I would not go for Richarlison myself right now. I need to see a lot more in the actual game. Should I transfer in Jackson and Ruben Diaz and take a -4? It depends who you're selling, Tiltsy, on that one. Let me know because I know you sent over a super chat, so I will let you drop it in the chat before we end it out. Tyler, if you're saying about obviously the Richarlison situation, I wouldn't be buying him, and if you own him, I would keep him. That's where I would look at it right now. But Tilsy, just put your chat in the chat here. I don't know who you're looking to sell. Again, we are going to wrap it up after this, guys, so please do. Tilsy, I can't see your question in there, and I will have to wrap it up in a minute, so I do apologise if I miss it. Again, guys, when will I wildcard? No idea yet. Later down the line. I'm not desperate for it right now. Right, I'm going to have to wrap it up here, guys. As I said, I wanted to make sure that I covered off all the questions that I can. I do apologise if I didn't get your question, but thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. Matoma or March? Matoma. Matoma, absolutely. No, I won't be live on Fantasy Football Fix. I do apologise. I will be live on TikTok, though, for those that are on TikTok in the next 5 minutes. Yeah, right. I could be here all day. I do apologise, guys. I am going to have to put a time limit on it. So thank you so much for tuning in. You absolute legends. It's been a great stream. There are so many other great streams out there. Make sure you go check them out. I really hope they will answer your questions. And if you do still have questions and I haven't answered them and you want them answered, head over to TikTok, FPL Fan. I will be live on there where I'll be answering some deadline questions and hopefully revealing any Chelsea team news that we do get. So once again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. You absolute legends. Make sure you do like the stream and, of course, subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Cheers.